There are some mighty huge stone men around here. Wonder what's inside their...
I've spotted something interesting.
Intruders by.
You were right there.
Intruders by. Intruders by.
How did I get down here?
We'll have none of that, you...
It's so cold here. As good as a new
On the mend!
Careful! I've spotted a trap.
Sluggishness! Slowly!
There thou art! The upstart that seeketh to upset the harmony of Heimerheim! Why hast thou ventured here, Avatar of Man? Why dost thou seek the downfall of Lord, nay, King Boreas, Sovereign of Winter? So thou seeketh but another human, a worm of no import. But though thou tramplest through my realm and besiegest my fortress, thou shalt not have her! Fairy, I have marcheth to the gallows, Heimerheim drawn forth from freeze and frost. How they mocketh me, my brother seasons! Thou art the ugliest quarter, they saith to my frozen face. Thou art the blemish of the year, fool that thou art, my brothers! Winter is the jewel of the seasons, And now it is the ruler of time and Heim! Heimerheim! 'Tis easy when thou hast but to wish upon a well, and the generous pit delivereth unto thee the power of chaos. It doth whisper, the demon straight into my wintry wit, and a woman he sendeth forth into the fields of faerie. The stone of stars, no more doth she ask of me. The stone and blood of imps. In return she giveth unto me this staff, my siblings enslaved within. Strong are they, these immaculates, stronger than thee. For thy wield the powers of darkest demons. And stronger than thee I am too. The lord of all the seasons, the ruler of all the elements, the one king of eternal winter! I, Avatar, I! Thou hast traveled far and delveth deep into the heart of winter, but here thou shalt find thine end. Ice preserveth life and death, and in between the two thou shalt spend the ages in frost encased!
madness.
Careful! I've Singer's beard. I've been slowed.
There thou art! Slope cold, dead breath of Barreus!
Only the finest techniques can lie to us. On the mend!
Ho, hero. 'Tis I, the Summer King. Wholly do I... Hey, quit shoving. Knock it off, will you? I'm trying to... Excuse me. Out of the way. It's Lurian's turn. Well, I thought the day would never come. Thanks for giving old Carrot Face the great melt. We and the Earth Kingdom owe you a tremendous... What? Well, you'll have to wait your turn. Oh, for the love of all that's igneous, go ahead then, if it'll stop your owling. I'll answer that. We are the sovereigns of the seasons, kind hero. And we thank you for saving us from our rather deranged brother, the one-time king of winter. I am Sua of the Summer Kingdom. These are my siblings, Semista of spring and Lorien of autumn.
We overheard a crafty little imp named Gigix tell Boreas that the staff can only be destroyed where it was created. The elemental forge. He seemed to imply that the forge was somewhere in Iverheim itself, but I know not its exact location. Better the crackle of embers than this idiotic blustering.
Ooh, cover your ears, hero. Nothing whips up a flame like a wild wind.
The elemental forge, hero. It's the only way.
doesn't seem to be working. What did I do wrong? So Leandra's devised a method for destroying Death Knights.
That sounds more than promising.
Damnation! Not even a... I've tried my very best, and will try and try anew. But so far this damnable ice scoffs at my every effort. Quite so. Now that you've dealt with Boreas, you have the staff in which the other seasons lie ensnared. If you can set them free... I've tried my very best, and will try and try anew. But so far this damnable ice scoffs at my every effort. I've tried my very best, and will try and try anew. But so far this damnable ice scoffs at my every effort.
As good as a new I found something.
to speed things up.
What's that gleam?
What have you done, you hot-fleshed fiend? You have freed High Sea the Disemboweler. Death for such a crime!
One bolt is never enough.
Oh there, Crystal Shatterer. Hyzir is in your debt for his freedom. I am beholden to you, yes, so much so that I will leave your liver where it is, and thereby is my debt erased. I wonder how you got here. A common human in the land of Fairy, upon the snowy soil of Hyberheim. You must have found a rift of some kind. Oh, very interesting. Ho, ho, ho. My pet name speaks for itself, does it not? I just lied, don't you know? Love to dig right into plump little bellies with my bare, clawing hands and drag the innards out into the daylight. Oh, the deep satisfaction. To hear the howls of my ravaged honeys. To see them, king. Would gut a pig and bucket it, only that it is a vast realm filled with soft, big-bellied creatures. Hold up. You let me out of that ice. Clearly, you've a nice, big, sympathetic bone in that body of yours. What say you hand over that rift spell, and we'll all be on our way?
You must be the vilest psychopath I've ever met. I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to kill you.
And I. Let's see how you like it to be disemboweled.
Suit yourself.
I've spotted something interesting. I've spotted something interesting. Careful! I've spotted a trap. Enemies have laid a trap.
Well, Wanderer, this well is still stuck here, willing to weep at any wee thing. Oh, will I ever see Warrior again? Why, the scroll, Wanderer, the scroll! With Boreas' scroll, it'll be hell was the willful Oh, I won't what say I will. Some of this dreadful weather away. I think I could still manage that. And for 2,050 gold, you, Wanderer, can wish which weather I switch. Perhaps I could wind down this wild blizzard, or whack out the lava-burbling volcanoes to the north. What do you say? Oh, what a wonder to enjoy the tinkle of gold inside me. So, Wanderer, what will it be? Shall I tame the blizzard or the volcanoes? It's time to wish your wish. We'll watch the volcanic waves wither into ash, will we? Wonderful! 1, 2, 3, and the volcanoes are tamed! Well, Wanderer, this well is... Oh, my... Would that I could whoosh after him myself! Well...
What is going on? Those elementals are battling one another.
And I've the feeling they don't intend to spare us either.
A veil of shadows! Face the unending darkness.
well.
He sounds like the...
Fancy that! I feel like a snowdrop on the first day of spring. Tell me, friend of mine, do I look as pretty as a winter flower? Wait, before you answer, I believe thanks are in order. You're lucky I saved your hide from those abominable snowmen. Oh, that little commotion. I never paid it no never mind myself. A lot of smoke over an incy-wincy fire. What was King Scardy thinking, starting such a hubbub over a teeny little ring? Speaking of whom, is he, still mad? Oh, only everything. You'll find plenty of chests bursting with gold and relics in there. But the real treasure is hidden away from unworthy eyes. If they stuck the winter ring back where I snagged it from, I can tell you exactly how I did it. That'll teach those snowflakes. You'll need one of King Scardy's talismans. Each of us royal guards were once granted one, but they were all destroyed after my escapade. All but one, for otherwise the ring would remain inaccessible. Where that talisman is hidden now, though, I cannot say, but surely you inquisitive types can sniff it out. Once you have it, make sure you wear it close to your heart and head for the treasure room. Stand proud, right smack dab in the middle, where you can see hills of gold stretching beneath your very feet. Be patient, and soon the ring will be yours to grab. Well, I've got to admit, it's quite a bit more blizzardy around here than I remember. But there seem to be significantly fewer bloody battlefields strewn about. Come to think of it, I reckon things do feel a little funny, though. I kind of feel like bashing in a fire elemental's thick skull while his wife and children watch. Is that normal? If you're satisfied, I'll make haste out of here. The last thing I need is another set of fat snowmen on my trail. Then I reckon this is farewell. Thanks for busting me out of that icicle, by the by. I'd say I owe you one, but I haven't got plans to run into you again.
you. The last hour of Act 6 strikes. He is to be undone by the devils that call themselves Immaculates. Immaculate, even though they are so very violently flawed of mind and soul. Go on, do it. I have no fight left in me. You're not. Could it be I finally meet some sanity in this twisted realm of fairy? By all means, let us talk then, and behave like civilized beings. Things of nightmare, human. They came here, your kind, because they were promised a special stone by the king of this land. We served him loyally, our sovereign, the great Boreas. But he betrayed us. We were surrendered to the Immaculates so that they could slaughter us and fuel the stone with our blood. For what unholy purpose, I do not know. Some of us rebelled and ran. Of course we did. But they've been tracking us through the storm. We were able to fight off and even kill a couple of our pursuers. But now, I fear I am the last one left. You should have seen this land before Boreas seized power. Each and every season passed with utmost splendor. But now, there is only winter and snowstorms. The very elements have lost their minds, have come to life in terrible forms to battle one another. The land of fairy, where fairies dwell, no more. You must know that we imps have wandered many a world after our escape from demon overlords in the frightful dimension of Nemesis centuries ago. After long and arduous travels through untold Earths, some of us ended up here in the land of fairy. Boreas, not yet king at the time, welcomed us because he had heard of our reputation as master builders. So we built him his fortress and his prison, riddled them with the traps and trickery he desired, and in return, we were given a new home. But we mistook his ambition for kindness. In blood did we pay for our gullibility. So I have. The fates must be conspiring against me. We barely managed to escape the knives of the Immaculates, only to be waylaid by elementals gone haywire. Luckily, they seemed to be as bent on one another's destruction as they were on ours. But the fact remains, I am the only one alive to tell the tale. It's all King Boreas' doing. It must be. He is the one who unleashed this storm, and he is the one behind all this elemental madness. I thought it was naught but a pretty jewel, said to have fallen from the sky. But when they poured blood over it, the stone seemed to soak it up with a greedy thirst indeed. It's like it became alive. It teemed with energy, like looking into the eye of a dragon. She smiled her wicked smile, the leader of the Immaculates. That woman is truly evil. She delights in slaughter and rivers of blood. You have the staff. But that means you must have killed Boreas. Just what that fat snow cone had coming to him. You want to destroy it, you say? Free the elementals inside, yes? It is rather simple, really. That which was made in the elemental forge can be destroyed in the elemental forge. That is where you should go. It is located in the fire temple, where my poor brethren were massacred, and the very place where we imps created many of the traps that litter this realm. Perhaps you met with some of our handiwork, the rats and the roosters, inventive creations. Wouldn't you agree? The only way to get in that I know of is through the front gate, but it's unlikely you'll find it open. The Immaculates and Boreas have formed an alliance, though. Maybe they've been given a key. I'll avenge you, my fallen brother.
imp was among the bravest creatures I have yet met, my friend. As says the legend of Gorwyn, so the gods will honor all who heed nobility's calm call. I am sure the gods will honor Axix as they honor the highest heroes in the Hall of Echoes.
I prefer to drown my sorrows in ale.
Do a salutoin, Hunter. What can I do for you? How goes search? Oh, I am ready to hang that. I be Lauren, my son Sebi, and we help. When he's there, I come to Silk. I have not. As for neighbors, well, those cultists would rather sacrifice supper to goddess than eat it.
is coming. This entire place is splattered in blood.
Someone must really dislike imps.
Away with you, damned Reaper! Take your scythe to grain, not my soul!
The bane of all life-loving souls, maniacs and their gods.
The humans, they wanted Lord Boreas's great starstone, so they fashioned him a staff, the elemental staff. It makes him king, for it dethroned his brothers. So glad was he with power! Yet another bane, that we were given to the humans and their knives. Stone of stars, stone of blood, accursed bane.
In his castle, in the dungeon, the fortress we built him.
All he longs for is eternal winter, a season of pain and imprisonment everlasting. Oh, blissful tidings! You have slain the betrayer? Then seek no more, for you have found the forge here in this hall. Throw in the staff, and it will fracture in the fire.
Fear not like I must.
Away, damned Reaper, away! Oh!
I believe we've done it. Yes, its power is incomparable. I see these little meetings are becoming something of a habit, Source Hunter. I believe this pet theory of mine might hold water after all. Do you feel it? The links between us growing stronger. It's as though we stand at opposite ends of history, and the space between is rapidly falling away. Ha! I assure you nothing I've done requires forgiveness. Nor anything you've done, Source Hunter. You may be loath to admit it, but I believe our approach to certain uncomfortable matters is similar. Blood spills at my behest if, and only if, it serves the greater purpose. Let me paint you a picture, Source Hunter. Imagine a world without war, without death, without sorrow, fear, or struggle. A world in which all of us, humans and orcs, imps and goblins, demons and gods, are as one, separated neither by body nor by soul. It will be done, Source Hunter. That will be our new world, our new reality. The Void has been inching toward Rivellon for eons, eager to reunite us into the single awareness that once was. It is a beautiful purpose. The greatest that has or ever will be. Surely, the sight of a bit of blood doesn't turn your stomach, Source Hunter. No, I imagine you've become more than accustomed to such things. If only my dear Immaculates took the same approach to our great work, but it seems all too often that only the most vicious of them rise up to the required tasks. All the same, these deaths were necessary. Soon enough, the pain they suffered, and pain you have suffered, Source Hunter, will be washed away, cleansed. This is my promise to all of Rivellon. And here I believed I was starting to reach you. My foolish optimism bears yet another disappointment, but I do believe we agree on one particular point, Source Hunter. This does indeed end now.
Enlightened ones, your conflict. The void's call. Offer your souls to the demons that beckon you. Charming of Astarte to send her scouts upon me, but no matter. The bloodstone is mine, and the witch cannot be saved.
Stone, another piece of ourselves perverted towards Leandra's will.
These stones may be valuable to us, but they are not us ourselves. Leandra cannot stop us from hunting her down.
Nothing Leandra might do could shake our identities. We are source hunters. Our job is to destroy that which would harm Rivellon.
I feel a great sorrow for the Red Woman. She seems to seek right doing, but her means are bloody and terrible. When she realizes her mistakes, her suffering will be great. I very much hope for this. In her heart is a cold season, blinding as snow. But perhaps this season, like the others, will peak and then give way to another.
Sister, we are free! And who is this? Can it be that a frail mortal human faced and bested our own scheming Boreas? Ah, but this is no mortal, I see. Strange you take the guise of a source hunter. But I shall of course honor your chosen form. Indeed, I suppose I should have expected that one of your kind would snare our brother sooner or later. Boreas always did dance uncomfortably close to the dark arts. But I suppose the others of we elemental monarchs thought it better not to interfere in the affairs of his realm. No, like fools, we waited for his pride, his hunger for more and ever more power, to pull us from our own seats of safety and into his sordid storm. We, and with us all the subjects of the realm of Fairy, do owe you our lives, Source Hunter. If, no, not if, but when, we might be of assistance to you in this dimension, you must call upon me personally. I am King Sewer of the Summer Kingdom of Calvia, brother, alongside the other elemental monarchs, to the unfortunate and insane Boreas. In earlier days, we ruled the four realms of Fairy in relative peace, each of us the master of our own kingdom. But something changed in Boreas. He grew darker somehow, more than was typical of his usual melancholy. We worried, yes, but chose not to intervene. Boreas was the Lord of Hyberheim, and it was his right to rule it as he pleased. When our brother called the elemental seats to convene in Hyberheim, we were ecstatic. Boreas seemed again interested in the joint rule of Fairy, in upholding the long-established diplomacy of our lands. When we arrived, however, it was not Boreas who greeted us, but a dark figure. A woman with a stare like blackest fire. In her staff she held a demonic power, the likes of which I've never felt. And as we were sucked into its depths, we thought we'd never see the light of Fairy again. I listened closely when I could to Boreas' doings. From what I could tell, it seems this woman had little contact with our deranged brother after the initial exchange of the staff. From what I could tell, the arrangement was thus. She gave him us, contained, and in return he gave her access to his great star stone, and scores of imps he'd invited to Hyberheim. After that, the two parted, and I heard little more of the woman. In his fits of madness, Boreas would sometimes bellow abuse about the demon woman. I can only assume he meant the same who trapped us. Source Hunter, it would be my sincerest honor. Take this rune, and use it to summon me when you're near the witch once more. If she can be extracted from Boreas' ice, I'll find a way to make it so.
That in it. We best be on our way then. The spring and autumn kingdoms won't rule themselves, you know. May our paths cross soon, Source Hunter.
It has been conclusively proven, Source Hunter. The Immaculates are nothing more than vile servants of demons. They must perish to a man. We must show no mercy. Be they any exponent of human nature, man or woman, fair or foul, sweet or savage. They must all be put to the sword without exception. Blood begets blood. Demons beget death. It is a great relief to me indeed to know we steer the same course. A course plotted in blood that cleaves through a scarlet sea. Mercy doesn't misguide you, Hunter, and a good thing that is too. For what happens to the clement predator? It starves. No, better to steer my straightforward course. The course of the sword aimed at the heart of all that is demon-aligned.
The Winter King has woven ice too rare. I've tried my very best, and will try and try anew. But so far this damnable ice scoffs at my every effort. Sewer, you say? But that is wonderful. My faith in you as ever well placed. At your leisure, Source Hunter. Though for Akara's sake we ought not to dilly-dally too long. The White Witch is quickly growing a whiter shade of pale indeed.
There she is. The White Witch. A prisoner in ice.
I wonder what sorcery, or worse,
I don't know how
sorcery,
long she'll
we'll
last
have to
within that
use to
ice.
get her out.
There must be a way.
This is your white witch, then? And you're sure you want to free her, are you? Even our mad Boreas wouldn't have wasted such precious ice on a petty criminal. Whatever she did to find herself here must have been rather severe indeed. But I am in your debt, and I would be remiss not to honor your request. Shield your eyes, Source Hunter. To melt ice of this refinement, I'll need to summon an equally rare flame.
It's colder than a witch's teat. How very callous of Leandra to inter her only sister in a barren tundra for eternity.
Ikara, you're all right? The ice, King Boreas, and your sister. What a frigid hell you've endured.
And yet not even a frigid hell like this could induce you to put on a shirt, could it, Ahu? My old friend, surely I have you to thank for my salvation.
That honor goes to a pair of talented source hunters, actually. If not for their efforts, I'd be quite uselessly prowling around your prison still.
Then perhaps I ought to address my savior directly. Source Hunter, is that the masquerade?
Well, what a motley crew we are. Isn't there somewhere a bit warmer we might discuss matters? Ah, yes, of course, of course. Do pardon me. I didn't mean to imply you were very clearly eternal beings in the guise of minor mortals. Not at all. Please, let's do carry on. Oh, yes, I suppose I am. But I do prefer my given name. Ikara, that is. Charmed. But I hope I haven't disappointed my own hero. Am I just as white and witchy as you'd hoped?
First things first, Source Hunter. For my freedom, I owe you every imaginable thanks. My soul had withered in this prison, and I might not have survived much longer without your help. Now, about the culprits. My corrupted sister and the mad Winter King. When I realized exactly where, and to whom Leandra was consigning me, I was certain I'd never enjoy the sun's warmth again. But neither she nor I anticipated the Source Hunter. That was her mistake, and my blessing.
I never would have imagined Leandra capable of dealing with the likes of Boreas, but she has changed into someone I hardly recognize anymore.
I take no pleasure in the memory of that night. The thought of hurting anyone or anything is abhorrent to me. But in this case, I judged it necessary. If you've come this far, I trust you've learned that the Counselor was far from a humble civil servant. This doesn't excuse my behavior, but perhaps it can help to explain it. It's a sordid story, to be perfectly frank. Two sisters, a philanderous, treacherous wizard, death and mayhem. Are you sure you're interested in such things? The sparkle in your eye belies your better nature, Source Hunter. Now I know that it is your duty to get to the heart of this. And, in truth, the events of that night were but one part of a larger and much darker matter. A matter in which I'll dare to beg your assistance before we're through with one another.
Now that terrible night.
One night, as I slept, I had a sudden revelation. No dream, but a vision. My sister Leandra and my lover Zandalor. I didn't understand, but I recognized their location. Syceel's King Crab Inn. I arrived and looked through their window, but inside, everything was wrong. Leandra had fled, and Counselor Jake stood over the wizard, a knife in his hand and hate in his eyes. As I watched, he drove the dagger deep into Zandalor's heart, and I was too late to stop him.
In that moment, I broke. I saw before me not a man, not even a beast, but evil incarnate. And I used Source to slay him. On the floor lay Zandalor. In my hands, I held Jake's life force. I had sworn never to use Source, but I couldn't walk away. And so I did the unthinkable. I used the Counselor's life to save Zandalor's. He was alive, but only just. Betrayal. Murder. Source. We were all of us guilty now. If you were any other Source Hunter, I suppose you'd strike me down where I stand after that terrible admission. Fortunately for us both, you are no other Source Hunter. My own little sister, if you can imagine it. She was always the more ambitious, the more exacting of us. And she had no fear of the darkness that so often accompanies Source. Her collusion with King Boreas in imprisoning me here confirms my worst fears. She is planning something far greater than I could have anticipated. For this reason, and with a heavy heart, I must ask you, Source Hunter, to find out how far exactly Leandra has become entwined in the dark arts. I hate to extend my own invitation, Source Hunter, but I believe I ought to accompany you to Zigzax's hideout. Presumptuous, yes, but I'd recognize the imp's essence just about anywhere. Both he and you must learn more about the darkness that has extended itself into our dearest Rivellon. And I believe I know where we must begin. Ah, but unless that's a bear flailing through the threads of time, I do believe Master Zigzax is on his way. Make way, Source Hunter, landing in 3, 2...
Hunters, you've done it! Ikara is free! Ah, what good it does my impish heart to see her safe and bright as ever! We have much to discuss. Come one and all to the end of time. A spot of something warm with the soft glow of the tapestry ought to do us all a bit of good, Ikara, now, if we're done playing hide and seek, let's not waste a jot more time. Oh, I just can't wait to pick your every synapse.
After you, Master Zigzax.
We've solved the murder and caught the culprit, yet this case feels anything but closed.
There's more to this crime than simple fact. Killing a killer is hardly the same as killing an innocent, after all.
We'll have to learn more before we can assess Ikara's true guilt in this matter. Fortunately, she seems quite eager to tell us more about this entire dark affair.
Rages on in the cooler north. Did you? Most wonderful. Could I have a quick read? The temple. But first, you should go to Hunter's Edge, the village that borders those haunted woodlands. That is where Zandalor lives. The wizard Leandra is hunting. He is knowledgeable of the source, and his capture by the Void Seekers would be catastrophic indeed. Of all the wicked, you'll have to redouble your efforts, my friend. You'll have to find more. It shall be my pleasure. Most certainly.
Why?
I see Master Zigzags has upgraded from his shabby little hut at the edge of the hour, from the fairy dimension to the, space-time weaver hunter imp one. What do you call this place again? Ha! Is that so? It seems I have my share to learn about the magical world yet. The end of time. Well, suddenly your association with Master Zigzags makes sense. Well, I must say, it's no small relief to find myself in a safe haven among such allies. I believe the answer to that begins centuries ago, when your order was still cutting down so-called dark magicians by the dozens. Ours was a family of born sorcerers, you see. It was in our blood to interact with Source. But our parents were determined to curb the power within us. Still, their meekness wouldn't save them from the Source Hunters. I am, but there is more to our kind than they teach at your academy. Source isn't only blood and madness. It's like lightning, an exquisite current of great power. We sorcerers are like metal steeples. Source is drawn to us and it flows through us. But what so many fail to understand is that Source can be controlled. The power drunk through history have abused it, and all the world's sorcerers have borne terrible consequences. Tell me, Source Hunter, in all your hours studying the arcane arts, did your great masters ever suggest that perhaps not all sorcerers were evil? Did you ever hear, even once, that some of us were weak and gentle? That we could be simple forest folk healing the sick and frozen each winter? No. I doubt also that they'd mention that one day this hunt of yours would birth a broken soul powerful enough to inch all of Rivellon toward oblivion. No, that would be going too far, and eschewing my own responsibility. I believe Leandra's long fall down did begin at the hands of some of your own order, but it was I who sparked all of this. They came on a quiet morning. My mother was wild with fright and commanded me to hide myself and Leandra outside, among the trees. Even at that young age, we knew not to question her. We climbed high into the branches of a nearby tree, and before we could look away, our parents were cut down without ceremony before our door. The Source Hunters sauntered away, wiping their blades with pride. 2 more sorcerers dead, a job well done. From that moment on, everything was different. As we trembled in that tree, our fear and our desperation were so potent that the magic within us began to weave together. Our souls became forged together, our bond unbreakable. We would survive, thrive even within those woods, never speaking to outsiders. Our soul forge meant that if one of us were to die, the other would instantly perish too. We kept one another close. Leandra's capacity was enormous. Source didn't frighten her, and she delved into that dark well with terrible regularity. I did my best to guide her, but she fast outgrew my admonitions. My sister and I were mired in a solitary existence, witches among the trees when Zandalor came. Leandra especially couldn't leave him be. He was a feast of information, and she wouldn't rest until she'd absorbed every bit of knowledge he offered. Their days were spent on charms, hexes, and the like. At night, Leandra would wander off to practice what she'd learned, and Zandalor and I would settle into our quiet tasks, side by side. We were a content trio, the 3 of us, but base impulse would undo us. As you know, Leandra and I were soul-forged. This offered us a window into one another's souls. I knew Leandra had developed feelings for Zandalor, and she knew I had too. But it was me to whom he confessed his love. Those quiet evenings together had captured his heart, as they had mine. Her heart broke the moment we announced our new attachment, and I felt the pain of it as sharply as a knife. She fled, without a word, and I didn't see her for 2 terrible years. My connection to her, our soul forge, grew weaker. It was as though some third entity, a parasite, we're atop our souls, sucking the strength from it day by day. I believe that our soul forge has been damaged. By what? I can only guess. The fraying of the bond between us has left Leandra adrift in a well of sorrow she truly believes will never end. What she needs is a hand. My hand, out of this abyss. If our soul forge is repaired, I am certain she'll cease blazing this path of destruction. We've a single order of business first and foremost. Leandra is gathering an army, and I fear we'll have to get through it if we wish to find her. But first, we must learn more about Leandra's plans. How many of these so-called Immaculates does she have in her palm, and to what end is she directing them? Why, it seems you're more than caught up, aren't you? You've already got the spell in the blood, both of which we'll need, if the spell is to be believed, to slice through Leandra's army of Death Knights. Remarkable. That means we've only to find Zandalor now. Long ago, when Source was banished, a league of great men and women promised to protect its secrets. The Keepers of the Source, they called themselves. Our wizard is its last living member. That night in the King Crab Inn, Leandra was after something that only he knew. Find him, and you'll learn where to find her. He lives in Hunter's Edge, a village east of Lucula. When last I saw him, he was in a panic about Leandra's betrayal. It's possible that he'll have flown Hunter's Edge. You may need to investigate to find a hint of his whereabouts. Take this ring, it will mark you as my ally. If you should find Zandalor, he'll know I sent you. I cannot condone the terrible things she's done, but I can seek to understand them. With our soul forge in such tatters, I believe Leandra is adrift in the not at all inconsiderable sorrows of our lives. What's more, I sense a terrible force bearing down upon the bond between us. It is hungry, and it consumes ever more of Leandra's mind and soul. I cannot say exactly what this force might be, but I'm certain it's both driving me out and driving Leandra on. If I could only repair the forge, I'm certain she'd put a stop to this madness. Gods, Death Knights, this is dreadful news. Worse than I could have expected. Death Knights are a terrible sign, Source Hunter. Historically, they indicate their maker's intention to wage total war. Death Knights are impervious to attack. The perfect soldiers. Fortunately, you're 2 steps ahead of my sister. That spell you've crafted will render her army utterly vulnerable. She'll not be able to hide behind Tenebrium and dark magic for long. You're 2 steps ahead of my sister, Source Hunter. That spell you've crafted will render her army utterly vulnerable. She'll not be able to hide behind Tenebrium and dark magic for long. So that's her plan. She intends to summon Astarte and the Void Dragon and overwhelm the goddess with an unstoppable army. With Astarte gone, there will be nothing to stop the Void from consuming all of Rivalon. Our mission is greater than us, greater than Leandra, Source Hunter. It is a quest to save all of existence from eternal blackness. Her plan must not succeed. Sister, what have you done? What's the word, Source Hunter?
How might I serve our mission? Leandra. She desires to be Mother of the Void, but you have the power to undo her born-in-blood litter. Though they be baptized in blood, you can cleanse the Starstones still, and use them to thwart their grim queen. The tapestry of time has not been struck by flaming debris as yet, but time is long enough to consider all possibilities.
Never rains, but it pours, eh?
Back for more, are ya? Can't say I blame ya. None 'ud dare cross a tenebrium sword without thinking thrice about it.
I'm drenched. I feel like I've just had a long bath in a cold lake.
Right, man, who's next?
Why don't you go yourself then? You already sent Odelin and he's been blown to bits.
You just have to stop her out now!
Stunning force of air! Attack!
Your grave opens to welcome you!
With this incantation, we can pass the force field that bars the way into the castle.
High time for an audience with King Boreas, I say.